All right, Esther, I think if you can see the screen, then everybody else should be able to. So
Yeah, I can. I'm good.
okay, it's 3:30. Let's get started. And I'm just getting a bunch of messages here. Give me a second. I can hear you. I just want to have the mic. All right, no problem. All right, we're good to go. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Paul Cuttajar, and we have Esther Goldstein with us today as well. We are from Lifestyle 55 Plus Network Incorporated, and we are the providers of SeniorCareAccess.com. Today we're going to be talking about how to actually log in and use the system in regards to the vacancy program that we're working with Toronto retirement homes and Toronto hospitals. Okay, in specifically, I believe you've all been issued a passcode that should have been sent out to you yesterday. If you haven't received it, please check all your files. And then you're going to follow through. We're going to show you what to do as we go through here. I'm just going to try to mute everyone. Let's see where that background noise is coming from. There. Okay, that should take care of that background noise. Sorry, it's all this technical stuff that we got to take care of. All right. So anyhow, my name is Paul Cuttajar. I also own a company called Pivotal Aging Innovations. We also do, or out of that company, we do training for realtors working with seniors. And the designation for that is called the Accredited Senior Agent Program. You may have heard it. If you've ever worked with a realtor, they may have told you that they are an ASA, which is great. We also have an advanced program called the Master ASAs. And we have several other programs, but we don't have enough time to go through all of that today. Esther, do you want to talk a little bit about yourself?
Now, some people may know who I am already. I've been doing SeniorOpolis for 23 years now, and I do the book, The Comprehensive Guide to Retirement Living. I know your hospital has always received copies of it. This year we went PDF, so you should have been able to download your copies. I started off as a hospital social worker. I worked at Sunnybrook for 12 years. From that, I came up with the idea for SeniorOpolis and creating a database of retirement homes. After several years of doing this and working full-time, I quit my job at Sunnybrook to work full-time on SeniorOpolis, and it's grown and is slowly morphing into what we're going to show you today. A couple of years ago, I met Paul, and we started talking about what we could do with this kind of data. And so what you see in front of you is what we have created over the last couple of years.
Excellent. Now, we're also aware that I think we have about 45 minutes of time for this webinar, and we have a fair bit to go through, and we're going to save all the details or the nuances about the website. We'll save that for another time, but I just want to spend about 30 seconds here to explain if you haven't seen the website yet. The site is designed to be very simple to use. There's only 3 access points into the website. It is designed for a professional user, such as yourselves, via membership to access our extensive housing database. Okay, the database does run across Canada. We continue to build on that. So that is quite the task, and it will take more time, and it also involves updating. So we're always working on that. The second part is the consulting section. This is consulting for seniors and their families while they're in transition, and it covers anything from aging in place, respite care, retirement home placements, financial concerns, executor, assistance with executors to wills, real estate, anything that a family, an older adult family needs, we're here to help out for that. Again, you can just simply click into these areas and you get more information. And then the last section is our senior service partners. And this is where we are building a directory of senior services related to the province, cities, and then categories, okay? But again, we can't get into too much detail of all of that. Our concern today is to show you how to use your password to access the website and get access to the vacancy program, okay? Esther, should I start at the
login, maybe?
The login? Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So what we're going to show you is with your password, you can log in from several different places on the site. You can go on the home page to where it says member login. At the bottom of every page, there is also a member login spot. And at the top where it says search, once you would click search, it would take you to the login page. So there are 3 ways that you could log in using your email address and the password I sent you yesterday. You can save it so that after the first time, it'll just log you in whenever you go there. Paul, do you want to log in?
Which is what I've done now. Yep.
Right. So the way we've created this site is to make it easy for a professional to narrow down options for themselves when they're trying to find an appropriate housing situation for somebody. So one way you can do it is simply going into the quick search and typing in an owner or manager or the name of a home. More often than not, though, you're not going to know the name of a home. You're going to want to know where you can find a home that works for your client. So you're probably better off using the advanced search box. Now, what we are doing is over time, we're adding all kinds of levels of care. So if there are levels of care you're not aware of, you can click on the document that's underneath the quick search, and that will open up into a PDF that will explain all the levels of care that we've been able to find and that we eventually will have added to the site. Currently, what you will find on this site is retirement homes, long-term care homes, seniors apartments, and supportive housing. We will be adding life lease purchase options as well. Most of the retirement homes have also been divvied up into who provides independent care versus memory care or assisted care. So a lot of the levels of care are already covered within our database, but over time we're going to be adding to it. The other thing you'll see is there are other criteria you can search by. And this is again to help narrow your search. You would need to keep in mind though that the more things you check off, the narrower your search is going to be. So unless you specifically need, for example, a home that has long-term care and a retirement home, if you check off both of those things, only those homes that offer both of those things will show up. If you only check one of them, then all of the homes that fulfill that criteria will show up. And the same goes for all of the other criteria that's listed. So if we go back to the top of the page, Paul, top of the box, the way the site's divided is first by province, then by city. So to begin your search for example, a retirement home, you would select Ontario. And specific to what we're talking about today is we've created something called a vacancy program. What this is it allows you to search for homes that have availability within their system. Now, we've gone specifically to homes in Toronto and asked them if they'd be willing to tell us where they have a vacancy. About 40 homes have agreed to participate. So if you search in Toronto, you will find a whole bunch of homes that tell you about vacancies. There are homes that also have vacancies but haven't been willing to tell us. So those are also within the search, but you wouldn't know if they have a vacancy without calling them. So let's just give you an example. We'll look at Toronto. Now, Toronto's divided into 4 cities simply because of the old designations and the size of the city. So we've only done this for Toronto and Ottawa because they're amalgamations. Now, here you can either search by a specific name or by a street number, a street name. So if you, for example, know that a home is on Queen Street, you can just type in Queen, and any home in Toronto on Queen Street will pop up in your search. If you don't know what you're looking for, our suggestion is that you go down and select a level of care. So if you scroll down and select retirement home, what you see is going to pop up is with vacancy. So these are the homes that have specifically told us that they have a vacancy. If you select that, what you're going to see is only the homes that have told us that they have a vacancy. And this is probably the broadest search you can do is without vacancy and no other criteria. And what that will do is give you a full list of all the retirement homes in Toronto. And from that, you can either search for something you're looking for or narrow it down in other ways. So Paul, if you just click submit, what will come up are the homes that have told us they have vacancies. Now, all of these homes have access to the back end, and they're the ones who have entered their information and updated in terms of their vacancy status. So here you see we have 9 homes in Toronto proper, so in central Toronto, who have told us that they have vacancies. Now, keep in mind this doesn't include homes in North York or Scarborough or Etobicoke. It's just Toronto Central. So Paul, just select one of them and we can go through the kind of data we've been collecting. So for those of you who know SeniorOpolis, this is SeniorOpolis on steroids. There is more than 350 fields that people have the opportunity to contribute information to. So there is probably no question that we haven't asked. Most of them they've answered. If they've chosen not to, then you wouldn't know that because you just won't see that information. So here you'll see the contact information that's available for all homes is the kind of thing we have here. There is a map too, where if you click that, it'll hook into, I believe it's Google Maps. Yeah, it's hooking into Google Maps, so you can see exactly where a place is located. But now we've left search. Yeah, so now you'll see exactly if you need to know the location of a home, Google Maps tells you that. It opens in a separate window so you don't lose your search. The other thing to notice is there are hearts at the top. These hearts allow you to either save the homes in your favorites, or also if you click them, it allows you to print the contact information so you can hand it to a family. So the information that they would see is what you see in the top box with the contact info, phone number, address. This allows them to go on a tour if you'd like them to tour places before making that phone call. So Paul, just scroll down a bit. So this home has told us where they have vacancies. We know that they updated in March. Now they have all received regular emails reminding them that if anything has changed, they need to go back in and update. I would assume that all of these vacancies are still available. They don't tell us how many vacancies they have, simply that there is a vacancy. And the reason is that homes don't want us to know when they have 15 vacancies. They just want to be able to say that they can accommodate a patient. The other thing is we have a generic application form that you're welcome to download and fill out. If you click on it, what happens is the name of the home and your contact information will be filled in automatically. And that way it's already pre-created, but nothing is saved in the back end. So you don't have to worry about putting confidential client information. Only you will see that, and that's only on your computer. We don't see it at all. In the coming months, we are going to create the opportunity for these homes to upload their own forms. So they will be able to upload them in PDF format, so you can simply download their forms directly. For now, though, our generic form is a pretty good source of information to it. We send them an explanation of the kind of patient that you have. And then from there, they can contact you and tell you if they need a medical form as well. We even ask them what they need before moving in. So this gives you some information so that you know that this patient that needs to go there will need a TB test, you can start organizing that before you even get the medical form done. If this is the place the family's chosen and the patient's chosen, you can simply go ahead and do a TB test. And a lot of homes are asking for that now, so I don't think, even if this home wouldn't take them, I think any other home would probably ask for it as well. Yeah. We also know that they offer independent living. We know what their costs are. We know what happens if you have a couple that wants to share what the extra costs are. You have a significant amount of information that you can give to a family before making that phone call. As you scroll down, you'll see every level of care is indicated, the room numbers. A lot of them have given us starting prices for different kinds of accommodation. We know who owns it. We know that they're licensed. This is really important for us because of the RHRA. And what their capacity is, so you get an idea of how large the building is, what it's close to, what the languages and cultures are. This becomes more important as we see more people that come from different cultures and speak different languages are seeking out this kind of care. So it is a question we ask. And all of the amenities are listed as well. The other piece of this site that nobody else has ever offered is we've got a confidential note section at the bottom where you and only you can write notes to yourself. Nobody else will see them but you, and you can always pull them up through your search results page. So you can type anything you want there, and it's, oh, isn't that nice? Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
You can type anything you want there, and only you see it. So if you've had a conversation with a home and there's something specific you want to remember about them, you can put it there, and you don't have to worry about looking for that piece of paper that you wrote it down on in a different client's file. Who's Stacy?
I don't know, I just made her up.
Okay. So this is basically how you would use this data. In terms of long-term care homes, we have basic information only. We don't know about their vacancies or accommodations. That's all through CCAC or the LINs. Whatever, the reason we've got it here is because we do know that in some situations, people come from outside of a certain area where you may not know the homes in the area, and they may want to start looking at homes in their neighborhood. So it's a way for you to pull up long-term care information. In terms of the other housing opportunities that we have on the site, again, no vacancy information as yet. It's certainly something that we're building on. The purpose of this pilot project is to see what we're missing, is to see the ease of use for people who are working in the sector, and what you'd like us to add or change as we move forward. The eventual goal is to roll this out across the country, and we would be approaching all hospitals to participate in this and utilize our resource. Eventually, it will have everything you see on the list. We're building Ontario first and then moving out west and building that. So very exciting times, lots to explore with this site, and we do hope that you choose to use it and access it. When I sent you your password, I also sent you a very, very simple to use PDF that allows you to just record when you've used the site and actually made a placement, that it's happened and what the ease of use was and how quickly it happened. It's not the only way you can communicate with us. We thought it would be an easier way to communicate with us if you guys would rather just, collect the information yourselves and then once a month drop us an email letting us know. The point is to collect this kind of data so we know what needs to change, and we know what we have to speak to homes about. If you're finding the homes aren't responsive, then we need to go back to them and talk to them about that. So it helps you as much as it helps us to have usage data available. So whatever means works for you is fine with us. One person can collect the data if they want and email me once a month, or you guys can all do the forms and send them to me once a month, or we can have a phone call. We just need some data to come from this.
Basically, this is the pilot project. We're working on both parties, the hospitals as well as the retirement homes, to work to put this project together. So we do need your feedback, as we are getting from the retirement homes as well. As it progresses and there's more usage or users from it, it will start to pick up traction, and we will be then going back and picking up more retirement homes to offer their vacancies. I just want to take a few minutes just to talk about the bridging and why we've created this program itself. Coming from the consultant side of things and placement to retirement homes, we know that there are vacancies at these homes, but the owners or the stakeholders hold that information very close to their hearts, and they don't give that kind of information out. However, our experience is that when we go in as consultants, we are able to negotiate rooms or available rooms. So knowing that there are a certain percentage, not all patients, but a certain percentage of your patients would be falling into the category of qualifying for respite or short-term or even long-term stays at a retirement home. Okay, so really this program is designed for ease of use, to be able to get onto a site, locate them, send out the request or forms to the homes, and then ideally have the patients out of your care, which they don't need specifically your care anymore, but they move on to the next step of recovery or having care other than a hospital setting. Okay. So that's really what the program is designed to do, and to work out much easier for everybody involved. I'm just going to tap into the consulting side of things. As consultants, we work with patients, we work with family members, we work with those individuals that might need the care. Typically, we're dealing with other family members that are seeking assistance. And Esther, I think we have a little bit of time to share the respite story with them. We've had a situation or situations where social workers from hospital staff have contacted Esther and said, hey, can you help me out with this? Can you find a place? Can you do this? Whatever it is. So we're able to consult on that basis. There is a fee for our consultation. It doesn't matter where the payment comes from, but we are not for profit, so we are for profit. But the idea is to be able to offer families and individuals an opportunity to get unbiased information. Okay, and if that includes a transfer or a placement into a retirement home, then so be it. We can go out, we can negotiate that deal. We will do our own assessment with the client's needs and what the retirement home is able to offer, and if that home will be able to service that client long-term, not just short-term. Okay. So if there is a need to offer a family or an individual to our consulting program, you can simply just come to the consulting page. There's a ton of information here, and right in the middle of the page is a referral form. And you would just simply fill that form out. We would get it in the form of an email, and then that gives us the permission to contact the client or whoever the contact person is for us to do follow-up with them. Okay, so with that, once we receive that referral form, we do offer a free, no-charge, 1-hour consultation. It's a bit of, it's a mix of explaining what we offer, and then it's more of some information gathering so that we know what we're dealing with. At that point, we would come back to the family or the individual with a plan of action based on their goals or what we may feel would be beneficial to them in addition to what they're actually looking for or need. There'll be a price associated with that, and if they decide to move forward with that, they would sign a contract, and then we would start working with them. Okay, so there is that opportunity. Esther, if you want to share the respite story.
The respite story, the fellow that we had. So we had somebody several months ago who had been sent to Baycrest for rehab. He was in his 90s, and Baycrest was done with the rehab, and was going to discharge him back home with no support, with no LIN support, with nothing. We got a frantic call from his power of attorney, who got our names from his lawyer. And it was right around Christmas time, and we had about 2 days to organize something for this man, who was now in a walker, with a walker, and could not return back to his existing home because he couldn't maneuver a walker with all of the stuff that he had. So he had a lot of stuff, yeah. So back and forth, we ended up, he agreed to go for short-term respite for 2 weeks to a retirement home. We organized the whole thing. We coordinated everything, got him to the retirement home, then went into his home, cleaned up his home, made sure it was safe, arranged resources to come into the home for when he was discharged from the retirement home. He went back home. He lasted there, I think, 2 to 3 weeks. We maintained contact with the power of attorney. It was pretty much daily contact because we were working through the supports he needed. He then returned to hospital because he needed an operation, and he had called 911, ended up back in hospital. After the operation, they realized this man was not suitable to return home. And so, again, we got involved and then arranged a permanent placement for him in the same retirement home because they knew him and he was comfortable there, and organized all of that and tied things up. And the process took probably about 3 months before everything was said and done. But we were with them from beginning to end, held their hand through the whole process. And we know that they could not have done what they did with this man without our assistance. They really had no clue what to do. So that was a situation where we got involved, not through a hospital, but while he was actually hospitalized, and worked through with this family. So that's the kind of thing we're able to do with our consulting.
And any comments about other social workers or discharge staff that may contact you requesting services and searches?
So we get calls like this all the time. I've had calls from many social workers from your hospital and others who have asked for assistance with finding homes that would be suitable for patients that are a bit harder to place. And so we can certainly assist with that as well. But again, there is a fee to it. In giving you the tools that we have with this site, you should be able to do a lot of these searches yourself by just plugging things in. But if you did need us to walk you through it, we could certainly help out with that. So is that what you're referring to, Paul? And
really that's the basis of the way we've set up the program. So despite the fact that there's over 350 fields in the search criteria, it's really set up as if it was a social worker or a consultant looking for this kind of information. Okay, so you don't necessarily need all of that information, but the at a glance section, when you go back in there, you'll see at a glance, you'll have contact information, you'll have the contact person's name, and any other pertinent information that you need right there and then. But if that's too much or you're unable to move it further, we have the consulting program available for you. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think we rolled right through that pretty quickly.
You want to open it up for questions?
We're now at 4 o'clock, so
yeah.
We were told we were really tight on time, so we're trying to make sure that we get this in here. So let me just try to unmute everybody. Okay, everybody should be unmuted. And if anybody has any questions, concerns, or anything like that, now's your time to ask. And if you can't talk, there is a chat section at the bottom of your screen, or there should be. That means we did a really good job in explaining everything.
Maybe. Maybe.
we don't usually go through it that fast.
No.
So, okay, no questions? All right, so let's do a quick recap then. Esther has sent you your login details, so be sure to check that out on your email and your junk file. please try not to contact us just to say, oh, where's my email, before you actually check. So please check first, and then if you don't have it, then obviously reach out to us. And then you're simply going to go into either search up at the top, or you're going to log in at the very bottom, or at the home page at the member login. Okay, so there's 3 areas to log in. The first 2 that I talked about are on every page, so it's easy to get around to. Once you're in.
So the other thing people might be wondering about is giving families access to this. This part of the site was actually made specifically for professionals. While families can gain access, the reason we made it professional access is because people are confused enough about care and what kind of care their relative needs. We have so many levels of care listed. We really don't want to screw them up by giving free access to it. It would just confuse matters even more. It's far easier, and it makes a lot more sense if it's professionals who understand what different levels of care are the ones with the access to it. That's why we've created this section of the site as professional access. Now, anybody can come to the site. For the general public, they can access the consulting services. They can access our resources. The resources are paid resources that serve seniors that are part of our database. We're gradually growing that as well. And so that's free to anybody to come and use. And it's open to anybody's interpretation. It's the data that we really feel is specifically for professionals to use.
Yeah, we also have the article library.
Yeah.
This, again, is free to access to the site. So whether it's a consumer, a patient, or yourselves, or a professional, this has full access. You can click on these different titles. There's information in behind there. It's for our resource partners. They can also post their posts in our library as well, specific to their type of business that they offer.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a great resource this way. We have an online store where consumers can come in, and if they need information on the differences between retirement residence and long-term care, or the visiting tips for it. We have an excellent care planning workbook. How many pages do we have? It's a 40-page book at that point.
Yeah.
Care options for seniors in Ontario. And we have several other books coming in as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's all kinds of things on the site that you can certainly explore. What we're doing is, as we're talking, we're recording this. We will be sending everybody a link to the recording once it's posted to YouTube. And then those who aren't here, or those who may want to review it again, can just click on that link and be able to do that.
Okay, so still a couple of minutes, and I think we still have everybody's attention here, which is great. If you weren't part of the original webinar presentation that we did, our database is completely unbiased, and it's Canada-wide, as we mentioned at the very beginning. The purpose of the unbiased piece is, as a consultant, the challenge that we were having was, or other consultants that are out there, is that they were only referring clients to businesses that would pay their service. And to us, that was not the right thing to do. We're not here to change anybody else's business model by any means, but that's not what we wanted to offer. So we set out to create an unbiased database. Every retirement home across Canada will be in the database. The long-term care homes for Ontario are already in the database, and we'll continue to grow that. And as a professional accessing the information, you have all the information there. Okay, so it's not a matter of 20 homes that are paying to be on our site. Nobody pays to be on our site because we want that information. Okay, so it's a very different model than what's being presented out there right now.
And it's a different model to SeniorOpolis, because SeniorOpolis people pay to be part of it. And that's the way it works for actually every model at this point, except for this one. And that's how we're able to give you really, really detailed information, and it is comprehensive, and it's got every single retirement home out there in Ontario as part of our database. So it's just going to keep growing.
So thank you. It's Kim. Thank you for your
Hi,
presentation.
Kim.
Hi. Thank you for condensing it for us as well. I just want to make sure everybody is clear on the feedback piece, and I just wanted to clarify how you want the feedback. Do you want us to collate it, or do you want to just every time they use it, are they supposed to fill out a form? What does that look like?
So the form is it's just a single page with lots of I think it's 5 columns and boxes in each column. So if you just print it out, you can it'll take 2 seconds to do once you've done a placement. Right. It's got very basic questions with yes, no, name answers, and that's it. So we can get it that way if that's easy enough for you guys. We have had hospitals say it's too much for us to do that. We'd rather give one person all of our feedback at our meetings once a month or whatever, which is fine as well. So it needs to be what works for you guys that isn't too difficult a task. We don't want to add work for you. We want to decrease your work by using this.
Does anyone who's watching the presentation have thoughts on that, or shall we take it offline?
Nobody's saying anything.
No thoughts.
No.
Okay.
Okay. We'll follow up. And
yeah.
we'll clarify with you anyway how we're going to do that.
Okay.
Okay. Basically, any way that you're comfortable with, as long as we get that feedback back. If we don't have feedback, then we don't know if we're going in the right direction in serving you,
right? And
we won't know the right direction in serving the retirement homes.
Okay, fair enough.
Right. So just whatever that feedback is, it works, it doesn't work. Maybe do this. I hate doing this piece. This was a lot easier. This was terrible. Whatever it is. And then we can work on that so we can further develop the program.
Perfect.
Okay. The idea is this will be rolled out across Ontario to all the hospitals at some point, but we've chosen Toronto Central to start that pilot program. So I think it's an important piece for everybody to take a look at.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so if that wraps it up, then I think we're good. And Esther, we're going to send everybody this video as well, right? Once it's loaded?
Right.
Okay, perfect.
That's great. Appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks, Kim.